Hello and welcome. This is my Singer Chamois Sport. As you've seen from my previous video, I've had such a lot of interest and so many views on it. I thought, what can I do next? So I thought, I'll do a bit of a video on the restoration of to where I am today with it now. So following this quick introduction is the start of the restoration of the Singer Chamois. So I hope you all like it. Hello and welcome to Gary's Classic Cars. This is part 1 of my Singer Chamois restoration. Hope you enjoy it, and here we start. So this is the vehicle prior to my purchase. I bought it from a fellow Imp member in the London area, and he kindly arranged for delivery for me. As you can see, it was a bit knocked about around the corners, quite a bit of corrosion on the body. The seats were a bit mismatched along with the interior trim, the woodwork, carpets were not very good. Engine bay was very tatty, however it did run very well, and I did actually run the engine for a short period. Bit of corrosion on the offside rear corner and wheel arch. So my first port of call was really to do a bit of polishing, and I thought I would clean it up just in case the neighbours came in and had a look to see what I bought, and it came up really well. Looked very good in certain areas, almost like new in some sections. So I thought, maybe this will just clean up and I can get it on the road. However, on further investigation, there was quite a bit of corrosion on it, and it wouldn't have done it any justice to just patch it up like the previous owners had done. So a full restoration was set ahead. The floor pans were very good, just a little bit of surface rust around the edges. The interior carpets were no good, so they got binned. But the floor pans generally were really good, and they'd been painted black, which had protected them. So they were quite solid. First part of the restoration was the rear corner, around the rear light. Cut that out, cleaned all the corrosion off, treated it with rust preventer. Then I managed to fabricate a new section up in my bench, and then welded it in and ground it up. And hey presto, first part done of a long process. The next section was to remove the rear corner. That revealed quite a bit of corrosion on the inner arch, so I cut all that out. Had a section that came with the vehicle for both sides, so I trial fitted that. When I was happy, fabricated the inner arch to match that. Cleaned the under seal off just to see what the condition was, and generally very good. Then I primed everything once I'd done all the repair works, and then tacked on and welded the new section on along with the fabricated arch. Ground it all back, ready for a bit of filler to get the final shape. Once filled, took a bit of filling to rub down to get the distortion out, and moved on to the rear suspension. This is the trumpet where the spring sits. It had corroded, so I cut all that section out and re-welded in new metal. Once I started cleaning up on the C-pillar, I noticed a bit of corrosion on the top, so that got cleaned off, cut out and welded up, and then wax sealed on the inside at the end of the job. Finally got some primer on it and felt like I was moving forwards along with the inner arch, which did give me a big shove until I started on the front edge. Then the heart sank when you start cutting the sill off and you find miles more corrosion than what you anticipated. But being a restorer, you have to accept these things. So I cut that section out, the centre membrane, and fabricated myself a new section out of some steel and welded it in. This saved me buying one, and it was as good as I bought one. Then there was a screen pillar that was heavily corroded right through. Ended up chopping a lot of that out and doing quite a bit of hefty repair work on it, but got the result I wanted. Only the edges of the floor had corroded, so rather than buy a full floor pan, I made my own sections, grafted them in, and repainted it red, and it looks like as good as new. Next stage was to put the sill on. What you've got to be careful with your sills is make sure you put the panels on, the door particularly, and make sure you get the right gap, because if you don't, it's too late once it's welded on to try and sort it out. So this is well worth taking a bit of time to make sure everyone's cleaned up and everything's lined up. The sill has an extension section on the end, a bit like an MGB, because the sill goes behind the rear quarter. I fabricated one of these by hand. I bought a little handheld English wheel from eBay and rolled a section of steel out, bent it with my bench folder, and hey presto, got a new panel. So I made one for the other side at the same time. Saved me a few quid. Then I started to repair the front wheel arch. This again I did out of various sections, which is quite easy to do if you just spend a little bit of time. Finally, I got some red oxide primer on to the front and rear sections just to see what the shape was like, and it turned out to be pretty good. Then I managed to get the whole side done. Really felt like I was moving on one side, until I started cleaning the passenger wheel arch up and found out the stop suspension had all rotted. Never mind, bought some heavy duty steel and fabricated a new section. Bit of a job with the thickness in the little bench, but managed it. Ended up welding it all in and it all fitted like a glove. So it did pay off in the long run, cleaning all the corrosion and the under seal off. Eventually got to a stage where that got all primed and ready to get it out the garage and turn it round. Firstly though, I just needed to get that side in primer, the near side, do any repairs I'd missed so it was virtually ready for paint. My thoughts were, when it's ready for paint, then I've not got a big job to do at the end. Hope you like what I've done so far, and part 2 will follow shortly. Thank you.